500,000 people rushed to California, fewer than 1% walked away wealthy. The numbers don't lie. Between 1848 and 1855, roughly 500,000 prospectors flooded into California chasing gold. By 1860, the vast majority had either gone home broke or stayed and took up farming. The real wealth, and this is where incentives start to matter, went to people who never swung a pickaxe. So what's the question that needs answering? How could a resource boom, one of the largest in American history, fail to enrich the people actually extracting the resource? The answer lies in the economics of supply, labor, and who controls the distribution chain. And it's a pattern you'll recognize if you've ever watched any frontier extraction boom since. Let's start with the obvious. Gold doesn't mine itself. It requires labor, brutal, backbreaking labor. A prospector worked 12 to 16 hours daily, often alone or in small teams, panning streams or digging shallow claims. The median take around $20 per week in $1,850. That's roughly $700 in today's money. Not nothing, but not rich. Here's where the incentive structure warps the outcome. The moment a prospector struck gold, he had a choice. Keep working the claim himself or sell it. Most sold. Why? Because a claim with proven gold had immediate, certain value, and a prospector with cash in hand could leave. The people who stayed, they either got stuck or were too optimistic to sell. But here's the trap: nobody in this story is stupid enough to miss. Look at what they were paid to see. A successful claim sold for maybe $500 to $2,000. That was real money. Enough to buy land, start a business, retire. But the buyer, often a merchant, a claim broker, or a company, knew something the seller didn't. The odds of that claim yielding major gold long-term were slim. The real money was in the ecosystem around extraction, not extraction itself. Merchants who sold pickaxes, pans, and shovels at 300% markup made fortunes. Saloon keepers made fortunes. Claim brokers and land speculators made fortunes. The people who actually moved gold out of the ground, they became the working poor of the frontier. Let's look at one mechanism: transportation and processing. A prospector who found gold dust or small flakes had a problem. He couldn't sell it on the street. He had to get it to an assay office or a merchant who'd buy it. That merchant charged a fee, sometimes 10 to 15%. That's a tax on labor, and it compounds. Labor competition, meanwhile, destroyed the wage floor. As more prospectors arrived, the average daily take fell. Too many people chasing the same streams. By 1852, a year into the rush, individual prospectors were competing directly with organized mining companies that had capital, equipment, and economies of scale. The individual never wins that race. There's another layer: the credit trap. Many prospectors didn't have the cash to buy supplies upfront, so they borrowed from merchants at extortionate rates, sometimes 50 to 100% annual interest. The prospector owed debt before he ever swung a pick. If his claim produced nothing, he was finished. If it produced gold, the merchant got first claim on the proceeds. Now look at what happened to the people who did get rich. Levi Strauss didn't find gold. He sold pants to miners. John Sutter, who owned the land where gold was first discovered, lost money. His land was overrun. His employees abandoned him to pan for gold, and he couldn't stop it. The people who benefited from the rush were almost never the miners themselves. There's also a simple statistical truth: most prospectors found nothing. The gold wasn't evenly distributed. It was concentrated in specific streams and hillsides. A prospector could spend months in the wrong location and find nothing. He'd be broke before luck or geography helped him, and by then he had no capital to try again. The government didn't help. There was almost no infrastructure, no roads, no law enforcement, no claim registry that actually worked. A prospector had to defend his claim himself, often with violence. That meant hiring guards or joining armed groups. Those costs came out of his take. The infrastructure that would have made mining more efficient, more profitable, it didn't exist. By the 1860s, the individual prospector was already being displaced by industrial mining. Companies with capital, equipment, and engineering could extract gold more efficiently and profitably than a solo miner ever could. The rush phase, when individuals could theoretically compete, lasted maybe a decade. After that, it was a wage job or nothing. There's also a selection bias at work here. The people who got rich early and left the gold rush, we barely remember them. They went home, bought land, started businesses, and became invisible. The people we remember are the ones who stayed, the unsuccessful ones who became part of California's frontier mythology. Survivor bias shapes how we think about the rush. And here's the kicker: the gold rush created wealth inequality on a massive scale. A few merchants and claim brokers became genuinely wealthy. The prospectors who found nothing became a permanent underclass. That wealth gap and the social structures that emerged from it shaped California politics and economics for decades. The rush didn't democratize wealth, it concentrated it. So we return to the original question: why did a resource boom fail to enrich the people extracting the resource? Because the incentive structure was broken from the start. The prospector bore the risk and did the labor. The merchant, the middleman, the equipment supplier, they bore almost no risk and captured most of the gain. It's not a flaw in the gold rush, it's a feature of commodity extraction. This pattern repeats. Oil booms, diamond rushes, timber extraction, the people doing the actual work rarely get rich. The wealth flows to people who control supply chains, capital, and information. Understanding why the gold rush made so few people rich isn't about history. It's about recognizing a structure that still shapes how extractive industries work today. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Subscribe to see how these economic patterns shaped every boom and bust that followed and what they tell us about wealth concentration today. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research.